Discord is gonna instantly die.
Instantly die.
Discord is gonna instantly die.
Do we get a rep proc when Discord dies? Do we get a rep proc when...
Alright, the stream is live, for sure.
Hello.
As usual, we'll wait a few moments here. Everyone joins in on the chat. And today should be a fun day.
Nice, quiet Saturday red afternoon.
It's snowing out here. I know I am leaving my apartment.
Yeah, it snows pretty ridiculous out today.
Yeah, we'll get that soon. Mostly it's like melting. Oh, thanks, Twitch. I just got alerted on the Twitch website that Paladin stream went, and I'm on the page of the Paladin stream.
Don't you love that? I haven't got the notification yet myself. I'm just waiting for it. It usually happens about 3 or 4 minutes after. Do we have anyone in chat yet? I don't see anyone typing.
No, I don't think so.
We might just be talking to ourselves today.
Well, I guess that's not the worst thing. It's better than like talking to ourselves not with other people, you know?
Yeah, I do enough of that already.
Wait, what did you just say?
What?
Oh, did I hear that right? I was typing something.
Oh, I was just saying that sometimes I talk to myself.
Same.
Oh, I heard you. I didn't hear what Reb said.
I said I do enough talking to myself already.
Okay.
Chat is indeed empty.
I have no idea what I heard.
No, Wooly's here to ship host. That's something.
Oh, we got Wooly. Oh, we also got Hawk there from WoW Analyzer. He helped me out the other day. with my very basic question, because I have no clue what I am doing.
Did you just message him in all caps saying help?
Oh, it looks like we got your guild in here to make fun of you.
Oh, good. It's always the best. There's an alarming amount of people online right now, actually.
Are you gonna tell your guild that Paladin thing?
Hmm?
Are you gonna tell your guild to come, or are you gonna hope that they don't?
Oh no, I think it's too late. I don't tell them, they just find out.
Oh.
I think Flint probably saw on Twitter, though.
Alright, so I think we had enough wait time here, enough lead. Did my clock just go backwards on my computer?
What does it say on your computer?
I could have sworn it said 305, but now it says 304.
This is 304 to me.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just crazy. Alright, but today we're gonna go over a few things. We'll do our log review as usual. With the log review, though, we're going to be showing off the new version of WoW Analyzer called WoW Analyzer Next. We'll talk about that later, though. That'll be some fun. Obviously, we had an overhaul to the Ret FAQ, so we'll go over that a bit. And also because the most popular subject right now is on-use trinkets, we're going to talk about some on-use trinkets. And we'll probably talk about some other things too that have happened this week in the world of Reddit. Because that is also always fun.
Shouldn't poke too much fun at them, though.
No, we'll address it overall. We're not going to like pick on people individually. Yet.
Yet,
Yet.
that's for the after show.
Exactly.
Yeah, just in case Guppin shows up, right?
Oh, please no. I don't even dream
That would
about
be
that.
fun.
Let me find my OBS here, and I guess we'll go over some trinkets first. All right. So right now, a common thing that everyone has been seeing in their raid bot sims is that they are getting told to use 2 on-use trinkets, and everyone is losing their minds.
Because it's awful.
Now, I mean, mainly you're losing your mind if you play red. If you play other specs, you might have already had this already because not all specs line their cooldowns up with their trinkets. Some don't care to begin with, but red, we've always lined up our cooldowns and our trinkets for the most part. So this is definitely new territory. And when it first happened, it was at the start of 8.1. Or not 8.1 specifically, but the first week of Battle of Dazara lore. We had the new trinkets from the raid. We had the Rampaging Amplitude Gigavolt engine here, and we also had Grongs, but no one cares about Grongs. And they weren't triggering the internal cooldown of 20 seconds on other on-use trinkets. So it's letting you use 2 at the same time. So that was really strong. And that took them about a week to fix that. And after that, though, we've seen it die down. We weren't seeing 2 on-use trinkets being popular, but all of a sudden now, with higher gear levels here, we're seeing people creep in, and they're getting 2 on-use trinkets again, and they're confused by that. And there's a couple main reasons for it. And the largest reason, or one of the largest reasons, is Crusade plus Light's Decree. So Crusade already lasts 25 seconds, so that's 5 seconds longer than regular wings. And Light's Decree adds 5 seconds, so giving us 30 seconds of total wings time. And we know that the cooldown on the trinkets is only 20 seconds. It lets us fit 2 on-use trinkets in that window, which is making it very strong.
And some of the buffs are less than that also. Like, I think Not is only 10 or 20.
Yeah, and then like
Not, which will last for 12 seconds. So you'll get a good amount of time out of the trinket itself. Maybe not the entire duration, but you'll get most of the duration. And the second part of that is that our proc effect trinkets have generally been very poor this expansion. They have not been very amazing by any stretch. They've been very lackluster in performance and in what they do.
They're bad, okay?
Pretty much.
Yeah. And then there's like so many options for the on-use ones too. It's like pretty overwhelming, actually.
Yeah, and they're all pretty accessible. You get them in your weekly chest.
Yeah, exactly.
Raid. If you do PvP, get them from PvP, or the guaranteed one from PvP for week 4. There's lots of choices. If you do the Warfronts, or not Warfronts specifically, the Warfront bosses like the Doom's Fury trinket, or the Not here from Ivus. There's definitely an overabundance of on-use trinkets, and a couple of them are pretty strong. So what's a common thing is how should you use your on-use trinkets? And the answer is, as everything else is, it depends. Which is the answer that nobody wants to hear. So we're gonna
Huh?
try to break that down a little bit here.
And Raidbots isn't even gonna model it right. So you can't even just look at that.
Raid
So-
bots may or may not do this properly.
Yeah.
Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But if Raidbots tells you to use 2, that's okay. That part's fine.
Yes, yeah.
You can listen to that if you want to.
It's just not a very good model of like how you should use them. It like almost undervalues using 2 on use trinket.
It
So like
does.
if it's already telling you to use 2 on use, that means you really probably should do it.
Yeah, because the way that most trinkets get used now is they won't be used.
I'm being told that you're really quiet and I'm super loud somehow.
You are very loud right now on my side, so I'm gonna turn you down.
I did move my microphone, so
I had you raised up before. I lowered your volume in Discord now.
sorry.
And I have now put my mic in front of my face, so if that's better, someone say something.
Yes. Sounds better to me, but I'll let you know if they complain more.
I don't even remember where we are. We're talking about trinkets, but what happened? Oh yeah, in Simcraft, the way the trinkets get used right now, a majority of them, with the exception of the Rage, is that they get used once the duration of the trinket matches the remaining duration of Crusade. So the first on-use trinket's already getting delayed by quite a bit. And in practice, when you're actually using them, you want to use them a bit differently. The way it's going to work is you're going to use 1 trinket on your first global. So if you're doing a regular opener of Blade, then Judge, then Wings, you'll use your trinket with that first Blade. And then you'll use your second trinket as soon as it becomes available inside of your Crusade. So you're using your first on-use trinket a little bit early compared to normal. And the important thing is, which trinket are you going to use first, and which trinket are you going to use second?
And the answer is, it's complicated.
Yes, like everything in WoW, this is complicated. Also, as a note, we're only talking about trinkets that provide secondary stats or primary stats, like critical strike, haste, versatility, strength, mastery. This doesn't apply to things like the big red button, or whatever the trinkets that work like that. I don't remember the names of. Also, trinkets like Grongs does not apply to those as well. We'll talk about that later, though. So let's say you are running a Rage, the Ramping Amplitude Gigavolt engine, and you're also running the Knot. So first thing we notice is that the Rage, for short, has a 1.5 minute cooldown. The Knot has a 1 minute cooldown. The Knot gives you a flat amount of critical strike for 12 seconds. It gives you 742 at this item level of 415. For some reason, the display here is wrong, but if you mouse over it, it'll be correct. And we have the Rage. The Rage is a bit different. As you can see, it increases your haste and speed, stacking up to 15 times over 10 seconds. And as a fun fact, it actually happens in 9.5 seconds, in case you were wondering, not 10. So this trinket, eventually, it builds up to its full potential, so it takes time. So what you'll want to do first is you will use, so in this case, if you had a Rage and you had a Knot, you would want to use the Rage first. So when you cast Blade of Justice, you would be using Rage with that cast. And then once that 20-second window has passed, you would then use your Knot of Ancient Fury. And that would be your opener. But both of these trinkets, they do have a cooldown that is shorter than 2 minutes. So what will happen is that because the Knot is 1 minute and Wings is 2, you will also be able to use Knot again outside of Crusade. So you'll use it twice. So once it comes off cooldown, you'll use it again.
Good, like, general rule is if the duration of the buff is less than 20 seconds. Just use it second because you want like as least downtime during wings on those as possible. So if you use like a 12-second one first, you're gonna be sitting there for 8 seconds during wings with like no trinket.
And the second trinket that we have is Rage. It's a minute and a half cooldown. Even though it's only a minute and a half, and it will come out of cooldown before wings, you'll always save this for when you're gonna go into your crusade.
Anything longer than a minute, just pretend is 2 minutes.
Yep, that's the general rule.
Yeah, wings is just so strong that you want to make sure you, instead of getting like the extra use or two out of it, it's way more important.
And God forbid they ever add a trinket with more than a 2-minute cooldown. There will be rage on the forums.
Yeah, the third kind of rage, not the 2 trinkets, right?
Yeah.
Why they made 2 trinkets that are both like abbreviated, never figure it.
All right, now let's switch the scenario up. Let's assume you have a rage still, and you also have a Doom's Fury, because Doom's Fury is incredibly strong and fairly easy to get. It's been available for a long time, since the very first week of the expansion, so chances are you might have one. So if you have one, definitely sim it, even if it's only 370. For example,
Which another point, hoard trinkets, because their item level doesn't matter. Just hoard them.
Yeah, always hoard trinkets. I thought you were talking about this is the horde version, and it is. This is the
Oh,
horde
no.
version of the trinket. The Alliance version of this trinket is actually called Lion's Roar, in case you were wondering.
But they're the same. They're identical aside from the name.
Hold on to your trinkets.
Yeah,
That's what I should say.
Was it Lion's Roar?
Yeah, I think so.
I think so.
Maybe
Let me go to my
Lion's Strength, I think, is the one.
Whatever. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's Lion something.
I'm checking my guide. One moment. Alliance ruined everything. Yeah, it's Lion Strength, but it's not popping up.
Doesn't it show in like the same model or see also or
There we
something
go.
at the
It
bottom
wasn't
there?
showing up for some reason yet. Here's the Alliance version. It is a Lion's Strength. Same trinket, different name, different icon. So if you're Alliance, for some reason, that's your version of this trinket. So if you have it, definitely sim it. Like for on my own character, this 370 Doom's Fury is better than a 415 Rage. So obviously your mileage may vary, so sim it, as we always say. Now notice how Doom's Fury works. Increases your critical strike, and it decreases by a set amount every 3 seconds. So rather than being a build-up trinket like the Rage is, this is a trinket that ramps down over time. So if you have this trinket, you would want to make it second in your use rotation. You want to make sure your Crusade already has full stacks, because it'll get the most benefit, because this one will ramp down over time. So on
Yeah,
your
it's like a 20-second duration or something. And, you know, so if you use it over the last 10 seconds, it doesn't matter, because the buff is going to be poopy by then anyway.
yeah, it's 18 seconds.
I just used it in game and it said 20 seconds, okay?
Well, Wowhead says it's 18, so.
Oh, okay.
I mean, a lot of it comes down to just kind of reading the trinkets and seeing how they work and trying to get the most benefit out of them. So stuff that ramps up, you probably want early on. Stuff that ramps down, you probably want near the end. Things that don't have the full duration, you probably want near the end. That sort of thing.
You can always ask us to, like, you know, Raidbots wants me to use these trinkets, but I don't really know what to do.
Yeah, and we also
We get that it's complicated.
yeah, just asking questions. It's okay to ask for this one. This one's a bit special, so.
Yeah.
Just as again, so this one you would use your Rage first, and then once you could, you would use your Doom's Fury. So let's say let's do one more scenario. Let's say you have a Doom's Fury, and you have a Knot. If you remember earlier, we were using Knot second with Rage, but if for some reason you're using a Knot and a Doom's Fury, you would actually use the Knot first. So you would use the Knot with your first global, and then you would use your Doom's Fury, as your second trinket, because again, it ramps down. So you want to use it at the peak of your possible damage.
Yeah, because like with Doom's Fury, you don't want, like, you're gonna have that full strength at the beginning of Crusade, and you're not at full strength of Crusade until like halfway through that trinket. It's kind of wasting it.
And for Wooly, if you're getting told to use 2 anchor trinkets, I would try very hard not to fall off the boat on Jaina, or you might die for good.
That's a lot of weight, dude.
Just remember that sometimes those anchors just weigh you down.
Oh, stop.
All right, that we're gonna transition over to the new Ret FAQ, because the new Ret FAQ also talks a little bit about trinkets and some other trinkets. So one moment here. All right, I should be showing off my Discord window here now. So, about a week ago or so, we have updated, or not even updated, it was already updated, but we have revamped the Ret FAQ. And when you first go to a channel on Discord, it usually always brings you to the bottom of the channel first. So because of that, we have put the guides at the bottom here now. So all the same guides are still here. It also just has a little bit more information. I'm not gonna read the FAQ word for word. I'm just giving you a general idea of what's going on with it. So here we got our guides. It tells you that the guides are for more in-depth information, such as going over your rotation or priority system, and more general information will be covered here in the FAQ. And here says that all the guides are approved by us, and you can pick whichever guide you want. And it mentions that there is more information above. Please make sure to scroll up to view the other sections of the FAQ.
Oh, also spoilers. You can do Control F in Discord.
Yes, you can. And right now, Stone, our Uncle Stone, Stone Thunder, Pizza Man, whatever name you want to call him,
The
Stone
Mogadin.
Pizza. He's the one running the FAQ now, so if you do have any direct feedback, definitely feel free to send him a direct message. He has his name there, so you can click on his name and send him a message. And also on the FAQ, we show when it was last updated. This is in month, day, year format, also known as the Freedom format.
God damn it.
So if you don't abide by the Freedom format in your country, I apologize, but...
God.
All right,
Freedom
so we'll
format.
scroll up here now. One of the major things you'll see here is that there's a lot more little icons here. So we've broken the FAQ down into into some predefined sections to make it easier to navigate. So if you ask a question in the questions channel and you get a response to read the FAQ, it'll probably say go to the Ret FAQ and look at X topic. Like go to the FAQ and look at the gear section. So you would go here and find the gear section. Or
don't even do that. Just Control F of vague.
Yeah, here's what happens. If you go here, you press Control F, it puts you in the search bar up top there, and you can type in what you want. So let's say you want, what do they want? What are we going to search for?
Trinket.
Type in trinket. You see there? You can jump. There's a trinket section here.
Whoa.
And there's other menus of trinkets you can jump to.
It's just nice if you're real bad and scroll past really obvious things like I do.
Yeah, so at the top we got an overview. It just gives like a little general overview of the spec, what sort of position that we're in right now. It mentions here that we are competitive. We can definitely have a raid spot. We also mentioned that in Mythic Plus, we can be competitive in Mythic Plus, but it is a little bit hard to get into groups because they still kind of prefer Demon Hunters and Rogues for their utility. But we're definitely more than capable of doing enough damage. Also talks a little bit about some of the weaker side. So some of our weak points are our mobility. We are one of the slowest classes in game. And it also talks about our utility, where our utility is highly specialized, but it's not always useful. But in Battle of Dazar'alor, though, we've actually had quite a few fights to use our utility on, which has been nice. So that's definitely made us a solid pick for this raid tier in terms of damage and utility.
Community perception has always been our biggest weakness.
And it always will be, probably.
Yes.
But we have the best story.
Yeah. Do we? We also get sometimes hundreds of people in a channel screaming "Read."
That's a pretty good story, though.
So we kind of do it to ourselves.
Yeah, so we got the general section here. So any sort of general questions might be in here, like what talents do I use in Battle of Dazar'alor? So it links our 3 of our guides here that all have tips for Battle of Dazar'alor. Not just talents, they also cover maximizing your performance. And again, no one here has killed Jaina yet, so so as we progress through the raid, more information will be added. So always check back if you have a question about a certain boss. Like, what talents do I use in Mythic Plus? How do I sim for Mythic Plus? What potion do I use? What are the best races? What do I do for PvP? Go see the PvP channel. So again, if you've always had PvP questions and you've been too afraid to ask and rec questions, scroll down and we have the PvP channels over here. There's a lot of information there that you can use. So we got a gear section. In the gear section, we include how do I use this trinket. It has a link to my guide here, and I cover some general rules for trinket usage. Like, what's the best weapon enchant? Sim it. That's all you need to know, is that you should sim it. Like,
That's all you need to know for everything, really.
How do I sim? You click on one of these guides. There's no secondary stat point breakpoints and caps. What about pawn? No pawn. Pawn is bad. Uninstall it.
It's just an extra step that you don't need because you're going to be simming stuff anyway.
Same goes for stat weight.
Yep. Why sim for stat weights when you can just sim the damn gear? It's more accurate anyway.
We have our add-ons and weak auras section here. It's like, do you recommend any rotation helper add-ons? And we do. We strongly recommend Hikili. It's based off our Simcraft action list. The only thing it does not do, it does not properly show the openers. So you want to make sure to learn your opener, which our guides cover. So make sure to read our guides. And we also recommend disabling cooldowns.
Like, very recently, it's been coming up more than usual, I think, in chat, when people feel bad for using Hikili or something, or people are giving other people grief for it.
Yeah, let's sidebar that. We'll talk about it, though, okay?
Yeah, all right.
But we will talk.
We'll come back on this later.
We're going to talk about it. The TLDR, though, is don't feel bad, but we'll get to it. What weak aura package is the best? People want to know what the best is. Well, it's very subjective. There is no best. You have to find what you like. We give a link here to Wago. And on Wago, it lets you find what you want. This is direct to the Paladin section for Ret. But if you want something specific, the site also has a search bar. So to make sure to use the search. I have a little rotation section here, like, do I use Divine Storm on 2 targets? How do I use Empyrean Power? So a little bit of info is there. We have a little Azurite section here. It has direct links to gear rankings. But again, you want to make sure to sim anyways, because some traits are less powerful once stacked multiple times. We list some of the general strong traits here, like Life's Decree, Avenger's Might, Empyrean Power, Treacherous Covenant, and Relentless Inquisitor. These are our strongest traits that we have available. So gear with these traits is generally good. It also has a little bit of information there about how they stack. Like on Life's Decree, the duration does not stack, only the damage does. We've removed the AoE portion too, because we used the same traits in single target and AoE. So there was no point to have both of them. It added some space. And we went ahead and removed like the inner DPS trait rings, because we don't really have a way to choose what inner traits we want. Because we are a hybrid class, we have 1 DPS trait, 1 healing trait, and 1 tank trait.
Like the DPS one.
Yeah, so unlike hunters, for example, they have 3 DPS traits to choose from, so it's very unfair that pure DPS classes
I mean,
have a wider
they
selection.
naturally have bigger brains, right? So
Yeah.
they can more easily make decisions for themselves.
Yeah, but all traits are hunter traits, right?
Yeah.
I'm just glad they have finally added a weapon type that hunters can't use.
Hunters could never use maces.
Oh, I thought they could.
No, that was one of the few weapons that weren't hunter
So
weapons.
now there's 2 weapons they can't use: maces and glaives.
You use fist weapons?
Wow. I don't know.
Ooh.
Details. We also have a little section here about how do I spend my Titan residuum. So again, like, this is a very common question. It's like, what are you going to do? So first of all, if you don't have all 415 pieces yet, you don't want to buy a specific piece. You want to buy a random piece. So then what you need to do is decide which random piece do you want. But some things to consider are that the first 4 bosses in Mythic all drop Azurite, and it's all very strong. And we list all these here. So in general, you want to see what boss are you going to kill. If you're going to kill a boss that's going to drop a higher level Azurite piece for you, you might want to kill that boss first before you buy a piece of gear. And if you want even more detail of what you think you should buy, over at Wowhead, Reb here does have a little gear string of all the Titan Residuum gear, and it'll tell you how you can sim those on your character. So you can make use of that. I don't know if you want to add more to that, Reb, or not. I don't know.
It's there. You just copy pasta and it shows up. That's it. On Raidbots, it's like really easy.
Yeah, we'll actually show it later too, just because. So we got a trinket section. The trinket section is still here. Still has a link to the trinket charts. We've also broken down some of the better on use and passive trinkets if you want a better idea of what you can go for. It also talks a little bit here about why is the sim telling me to use 2 on use trinkets, which of course we just talked about. So you know a bit more about that now. And that is the bottom of it. So that's our new FAQ. Hope everyone finds it useful. And again, if you do have any suggestions, make sure to message Uncle Stone.
It sounds creepy.
Yeah. He's called Uncle Stone because he was recently an uncle. So, backstory for you.
He recently became an uncle.
He recently became an uncle.
He's mostly not creepy.
And we got Wooly here changing his name to Hello Retstream. Alright. We're going to go back to our sidebar topic of Hikili. I'll let you take the reins of the show dice because I cut you off.
All right. So this is something we actually get asked a lot, and people kind of feel bad about. Like, I use this thing to help me do my damage. Is it a crutch? Is it something I shouldn't be using? There's people that kind of criticize others for using it, but really, when you step back and kind of critically analyze it, literally everybody that plays this game at a competitive level uses some kind of UI change to make things look different for them, to make things look better, worse, whatever. I mean, we've all seen some of the gross UIs. But like, I'd guarantee everybody uses weak auras at some point for something in their character. And Hikili is just the same thing. It is a way of framing that information for you in a way that makes it easier for you to read, which is all UI mods are. They help you see the information that you need in a way that suits you better. And everyone uses stuff to help track their cooldowns, to track their rotation stuff. It's just what everyone does. Hikili is no different from any of those things. It just formats it differently for you. I guess the only one thing is that you do have to know sometimes when not to listen to it for, like, ads are coming up, don't blow your wake right away, right? But it's not like, if you know that, you're fine, you're doing well, and even somebody who has their UI that's like, hey, wake's available, use it, you still kind of have to ignore that normally. So it's no different from someone who just makes their own weak auras or something like that.
Just to comment on what Wooly just said, like, honestly, most of playing Rent is just muscle memory. So, like, if you are just starting out and you need to just train that muscle memory, Achilles like really great. You know, like it when you're learning a new class, like it's a lot at once, right? You can learn stuff like, oh, I shouldn't have listened to Hikili. I should have saved it for these ads, like as you go. You know, that's something that you're just naturally going to develop.
And like
right?
eventually you're not even going to be thinking about your rotation, even when you have things like a healer.
Yeah, like for example, I still use it. I rarely look at it directly because I've been playing Ret for quite a while, but I still have it there. There's times where I find it used, like if I get flustered in a fight due to something like mechanics, like progressing on opulence, getting used to getting teleported and dodging stuff a lot. You can get flustered on new stuff, and Hikili can be a good get back into the groove kind of deal.
Mm-hmm. You just like lose your place, and you're just like, what am I doing? And it's there, you know, to hold you up when you've fallen down.
Yeah, at the same time, though, you definitely, like, if you're just first starting out, definitely use it. I mean, always use it if you want to. Like, don't feel bad about it. But you definitely want to use some of our guides here and learn a bit more about why it's telling you to press a certain button.
Because then you can learn when not to listen. Like the wake thing is like a really big deal, right? Like it's gonna feel pretty bad when you listen to Hikili tell you to wake and then ads come out in like 5 seconds. You're gonna feel pretty bad about that anyway. It's a really good way to learn to do that. Like the only time really we're ever gonna get frustrated with people is when they just like install the add-on and just listen to it, and they come in and they're like, why do I suck? And it's like, well, you still need to kind of know your kit, right?
But for most of the time, it's perfect.
Yes, it's a really good tool to have in addition to all the other tools that you should be using, basically.
And it is just a tool, right? Like any tool, knowing how to use it and knowing, you know, when to use it, when to not use it. That's part of it. And it's not like it's a crutch. It's not something that you should be ashamed.
I mean, it is though, and that's fine. Like you only have so much mental capacity at every given second. Like if at the end of the day it's about killing the boss, right? It's not about how well you made decisions on the fly for every global cooldown. Like nobody cares about that. People just care, did you kill the boss and do a good job killing the boss? You know? Don't be ashamed of that.
I mean, even if you're trying to go for like, we have a lot of people coming like, hey, I know I'm doing well, but I want to super min max and get the absolute most. Maybe something else will do better for you than Hikili. Maybe something will show you your abilities a bit better and you can optimize more there. But it's not going to be like I'm getting 80s and if I uninstall it, I'll get 90s. Like that's not, it's not going to work that way.
And also on the other side, like if you're trying to play without Hikili and you're just straight up disabling it, you might let your performance go down because you're no longer tracking things like in the same spot. So you'll want like a new weak aura of some sort to show you your cooldowns in a more centralized location. Because maybe you're not used to looking at your action bar now. You're used to Hikili being in a certain spot. So you'll want a weak aura there with your main abilities so you can see what's going on.
Which, like, I don't know, at what point do you say something is a crutch that you don't want to use? For me, I'm just like, whatever makes it easier for me to focus on things that I can't have a weak aura for or whatever.
Well, like just
I'll have as many of those. Yes, exactly.
Like how often do you find that you're looking at a weak aura and then something spawns under your feet, and because you're looking at that and not, it's a problem. And so just having that, you know, part of it the muscle memory, part of it just you don't have to spend those mental cycles on looking at that. It's there, you know where it is. It's good to go. Like it's a huge difference.
It's just a game. It's okay to have things that you think are crutches. Like,
I mean, I don't.
I would
disagree with calling it just because.
I mean, me too, but people are gonna insist on calling it that, right? Like, it's helping me. Like, it's making one less thing that I have to worry about, and like that makes me less smart or capable or whatever. And it's just like nobody really gives a shit about how smart or capable you are. Like, you need to just kill the boss, right?
Yeah, because if you, I mean,
I
you're in the raid. You're a single person in that raid. You got 19 other people that want to kill the boss. And if you're the reason the boss isn't dying, because let's say it's a DPS check boss, because you're not doing your rotation properly or whatever, or you're getting distracted. If you have a tool there that can assist you to help you kill that boss, you've just wasted less time of those 19 other people.
I just think that if we're calling it a crutch, then the add-on called Weak Auras should just be considered a crutch in every,
Yeah,
because
I mean,
it's
if you were to
literally
call
the
one
same
add-on
thing.
a crutch, they're all crutches.
they're all just assistance
Like
tools.
if you think a rotation helper is a crutch, what do you call boss mods?
Mm-hmm.
What do you call the Archimond Exorcist Raid Tools beam tracker?
Oh my god.
What do
I
you
mean,
call
Warcraft-
Iskar helper?
Warcraft logs is a crutch. Why do you need, like, you know how good you've been doing? You've been playing the spec for 14 years.
Your
Oh my
rotation
god.
is still on point.
End of the day, like, honestly, nobody gives a shit if you calculated whether or not you should wait for Blade of Justice to come up or press a different button. Like, nobody cares. You use the dang add-on.
Yeah, you do you.
Yeah. End rant? Question mark?
And rant.
Yeah, I'm done. I've
think
ran
we're
out
good
of steam on that.
TLDR, use Ekili if you want to. Don't call it a crutch. It's not a crutch. If you use it, be happy. If you don't use it, then don't use it. It's as simple as that. Alright, but one of the things from the Ret FAQ we mentioned is that on the Wowhead guide here, there was a list of the Titan Residuum gear to sim. So when you go to the link, it brings you here. It has a little paragraph here. There's a little arrow here. You click on this little arrow, and it gives you a list of the gear. So you'll copy that.
That arrow formerly goes by the name of tab 33. Thank you very much.
Okay, yeah, so you'll click on tab 33. And what you want to do is you want to paste it into your top gear input. So it shows you here. So I have a raid boss tab here. I'm already on top gear. If you want to make the window bigger, you can. You scroll down. Click in the bottom there. You paste it in there. It reloads. And look at all this new wonderful Azerite gear that you can sim.
It's beautiful. Probably not going to be able to do all of it at once. But,
Well, we can on this account.
Oh, yeah. Not everyone will be
Not
able to
everyone
do
can
all
do
of it at
that,
once.
though,
But I did separate it into, like, sections, so if you just want to look at the chest,
Yeah.
you can just paste in the chest. Yeah.
And if you want to go real deep into it, there's just some pieces of gear you can straight up ignore by looking at the traits.
Mhm.
I don't remember them off top hand, but some of them, the traits are just, you're looking and you're like, yeah, there's no way that's going to be good. And you might be right. You might be wrong, so if you're not entirely sure, definitely still just choose it and send the gear.
Or if you can afford, just pay raid bots the $5 a month and not have to use your brain.
Yeah.
It's honestly really worth it, like, if you can afford it. I know not everybody can.
We're going to go to a different raid bots tab here, on top gear. One thing I want to go over before we get into our log review. Part of our log review, we usually sim the person's character. This time, we're not going to sim their character. We're just going to talk about raid bots a little bit here in general. Because a lot of times we'll see people, they'll come into questions chat and they'll link their sims or link their gear. And it looks like they're making some odd choices for whatever reason. Now, there is a guide in the FAQ about how to sim your character. But just to cover a few things here, is that when you are simming on Top Gear, you want to make sure that you're not excluding certain items. There's certain things you'll want to exclude, like if you have a cape, if you have two capes, if one's 415 and one's like 340, forget about the 340 cape, for real. But if there's gear that's very close, you'll want to make sure to sim that still. Like Azerite, for example. If you want to see what Azerite's best, as you can see, these are the three that I have on. these might not be the best choices. And to check that, you would want to choose your other Azurite. And going further than that, you know that some Azurite doesn't stack well. Like, for example, Empyrean Power doesn't always stack well, so you might want to add Expurgation to it too. So you would choose that. We're not going to sim this one for now, though. We're just going to remove that one, but that's what you would do. Our example here, we got a Breastplate. Sometimes Light's Decree could be good if you don't have one, so you'll want to make sure to sim both traits. I don't have one of the pieces that I want, but I'll go back to that in a second. There's something else I'll talk about too. So you'll do that. And then when it comes to trinkets, again, like we mentioned earlier that you should hoard trinkets, I hoard trinkets. So
Jesus, Skeletor, what the? Oh my god.
I make sure.
I mean, there's some good trinkets in there, but holy crap.
You don't need to hoard that, man. Like, why do you have a syringe?
I hoard one of each trinket, so.
I don't know. I don't think you need that 355 Dino Bone Charm. Like, that's...
Oh, just because of that, we're going to sim that one too.
Okay.
But yeah, like, this is obviously an extreme example, but definitely keep a few
Definitely not what I
trinkets.
meant.
We'll throw in an extra unused trinket there just because. As a side note, that Jess Howler, by default now, this does split the versatility. You don't have to worry about that anymore, so it'll just split straight up.
It's a 340 Skeletor. My god.
What do you have against the 340 Jess
What
Howler?
about the 330 Spyglass? Or 335? Whatever. Like, there's no way. Oh my goodness.
We'll sim that one too.
Oh, jeez.
I just told people not to waste iterations simming useless.
Well, this is all Schuldeis's fault. He's making fun of my trinkets, so we gotta sim him.
Oh my god. We're just gonna prove your point then, I guess.
Also, a common thing, people, they end up usually having replaced existing gems and enchants checked, and they'll have everything selected.
Just don't.
As you can see, we have jumped up to 118 million iterations just from that. So generally, replacing gems and enchants does not gain you very much DPS. So you don't have to
You
replace
got
them.
like stone levels of gem sockets, right? Didn't he have like 8 at one time?
Yeah,
That you might see something from.
Yeah, so we uncheck that, and also this always use box, uncheck that. You don't want to always use it. So as you can see, when you sim new gear, if there's a slot open or an enchant, it'll sim it for you. Don't worry about replacing it, just do that. And for talents, sometimes Crusader might not be the best, so you'll want to sim the other talents. It's generally pretty safe to sim the entire bottom row. If you want to sim Wake versus Consecration, you can do that. Those can both come ahead. For Hammer Wrath, we're pretty much stuck with this. If you have a Light's Decree trait, you're using Hammer Wrath no matter what, so just use Hammer Wrath. And for Righteous Verdict, it usually comes down to either Righteous Verdict or Zeal, and that's only an AoE for the most part. But we'll sim it here too, just for single target.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like,
so-
if you just want to be curious, then do it, fine, but... Meh.
Yeah, so choose yourself. Don't like discount things. Don't just
Yeah.
assume that something is the best.
Unless
At
it's
the
like a
same
330 trinket, right?
Like this.
Yes.
We're not going to discount it, though, because he had to say something.
I decided, like, I really don't want to use Inquisition, so I don't even put that as an option
Yeah,
anymore.
so like, let's say you don't
Like, I want to use Crusade right now, because it's just strong, it's just strong in general. It feels good. I know it's going to be close, so, like, it's okay to go either way, as long as you know what you're sacrificing, I think.
everything. What have you
Yes.
given?
God damn it.
I've simmed everything.
Alright, so some general options. By default, usually Smart Sim is pretty much the way to go, so just use Smart Sim. You can change fight style. By default, Patchwork is common. The two ones that you'll mainly use are Patchwork and Dungeon Slice. Also, what's nice every now and then is the execute patchwork. So if you want to sim a boss that is from a lower starting point, you can sim that. But in general, patchwork and dungeon slice will get you where you need to be. You can change other stuff if you want to. By default, the In Zuldazar is checked for the Gift of the Loa set for us, which is the ring and the cape, which increases your strength. If you want to adjust your Treacherous Covenant uptime, you can do that. In general, you'll have 95% or higher uptime. So leaving it on 100 is fine. Or drop it to 90 if you want to. But if you use WoW Analyzer though, it'll tell you your uptime. So if you find that you're consistently below a certain point, you can try to adjust it from here for that. Re-origination array is dead. It doesn't matter anymore, so it's on 0. By default, it'll sim all the raid buffs here. Also, the potion food flask is there as well if you want to change it, or just let SimC decide. And we can just do find top gear. It'll take a little bit, but it won't take too long. But you just don't want to. You just want to make sure you're simming appropriate options. Like I know for a fact already, it's gonna tell me to wear new gear. Because right now on my gear, I have an Imperium power trait. And technically, for me, it is a DPS upgrade to drop that trait for different Ps. But then I would lose Imperium power, and I like that ability a lot, so I don't want to lose it. Yeah, like I said there, you can see it's telling me that if I change my helmet to the non-Imperium power piece, it's an upgrade. But everything else kind of fell in line there. So you can
let's see
here's
that.
Look at this spyglass, Shouldice. Equipped gear. Spyglass.
Are you fucking kidding me? There's no way. Is that a 335 that's basically keeping up with a 37?
We could offshoot here and talk about how to double check that you didn't fuck something up when you get a weird result. But that kind of checks out.
How
I
is
don't know.
that?
Let's scroll up. Did you put the right fight time here? What's going on?
I'm telling you, like the spyglass.
No, so you're telling me a 335 spyglass in this scenario is beating your 370 Dooms?
Link link it.
Report disabled for large simulation.
Oh god damn it!
No, I'll go back and I'll choose just those two pieces in the helmet. But like sometimes you can be surprised. Like I'm telling you, the spyglass is super strong.
I mean, I guess if you're using a 370
like look,
as your other,
replacing that 370 with the 335 Glad trinket, it's only a 0.7% downgrade. Like those trinkets are incredibly strong. So
I don't know. I mean, like, look, I'm not gonna say I doubt the sim because the sim results are the sim results, but come on.
It's a good if there's an alarm like that going off, definitely double check but sometimes things are just weird.
So we'll press run sim again. We'll uncheck some of this stuff. And we'll get our report here. I think it's going to do a profile set by default, but we'll find out. I forgot to change that button. Whatever. Well, as soon as it finds a worker to take our sim.
An iron throne made of crutches.
Okay, it still means it's a large sim, but I mean, we can see this time the equipment it's comparable for the most part. I mean, 27 DPS difference. Again, the spyglass is super strong. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, this just goes back to the fact that You can sim everything in the world, but at the end of the day, nothing matters.
Yeah, so pro tip, every time the first mate's spyglass world quest is up, which I believe it spawns in the bottom right zone. What's that called? Tiergard Sound? Always do that world quest. I've been lazy. I haven't done it in a while. I should though, but you always want to do that world quest, because if you get that trinket and it Titan Forges, you are in a great spot.
Today I learned. Can you give it one of those big now you know swipes across the screen?
I know, I was like thinking of all the graphics we should have.
That's insane.
Like when we were showing off the new FAQ, I was like, man, this would be a great time for like a Vanna White gift.
And now I'm going to drop my 370 trinket down to a 335, so I'll lower my eye level bracket for Warcraft logs parses.
Oh my god.
Can we real quick sidebar again and just say that eye level parses are completely meaningless in work?
That was the point of that segue, but yeah.
Like they're completely meaningless.
Especially when you can literally just have a trinket that is that low of an item level.
Oh, we're going to do another pro tip. If you want to know what world quests are up, you don't want to log into the game, Wowhead has you covered.
Yep.
I'm just going to go to the homepage there. It gives you like the today in WoW. You can change if you're NA
Eventually
or EU.
you'll get to the top of that page.
There's the world quest map. You press that button. It'll take a moment to load, I guess.
Feels bad.
I'm not signed into an account, so if I have my premium account, it'll be a little bit faster, I hope. This is taking suspiciously long now, though.
Oh, page is not even loading for me. God damn it, Wowhead.
Wowhead's letting us down in our time. Oh, there it goes.
Another time of need.
Nobody's complaining about it.
Oh, mine was like fucking instant. Okay.
So it did finally load here. So you can go to Tiergard Sound. Is this one it? I think this one's it. No response from server. Oh, come on, don't fail me. I can see it's a different reward here, but a list down below. You can scroll down for the rewards and see if there's a spyglass. If there's a spyglass, log into the game and get you a spyglass.
Feels bad.
Sadly, there's not one up right now. But that world quest does spawn in this little area here. Like, there's a mob down here on this little island, and he's the spyglass world quest guy. So always do that one again. Yes, we did our sims. We educated Shouldice on the power of the spyglass.
I mean, I didn't know that spyglass was that good. I mean, I'm still gonna give you shit for holding on to a 335 one, but
hey, once I do the quest next time, I'll have a 350 something one.
If he ever seems like suspiciously defiant about something, it's probably because he's right and wants to show you that he's right.
Yeah, no, I fully accept that I'm wrong in this case, and that spyglass is actually I just wasn't expecting it.
Trap.
Yeah,
we got led into the trap.
Though, if you do ever have a question about your sim, if you think something isn't right, go to the Right Questions channel, and don't just say, "Hey, does this sim look right?" If there's something specific that looks wrong to you, say what that thing in specific is. Don't make us guess.
Like, for the most part, people aren't going to get mad if you come in and you're like, I tried to do this, but can somebody double check my...
If we see like people have put in even the tiniest iota of effort and like want some more help on top of stuff or research they've already done or looked at a guy, like as long as you've done something, we are more than happy to help.
I think the only time we get mad at people who come in and are just like, help, did I do something wrong? When it's obvious that they're just like trying to flex, right? Like, help, why do I sim at 25k, guys?
I think the other thing that gets me is what is better, this piece or this? And then if like we're gonna tell you to sim it because it's really the only good answer.
All right. Well, I guess before we have our next little rant here that we can lead into was about there was a couple of posts on Reddit, specifically the WoW Reddit, obviously, and also the competitive WoW Reddit. There was a couple threads, and one of them was it was a battle of Desire Allure simulations versus Parses, and for some reason, they were comparing heroic Parses of all bosses compared to sim DPS, which does not make sense. By the way, you can't compare a patchwork 5-minute sim to an overall standing of a raid. It does not work like that.
Yeah, because not every fight is patchwork. But
and there's also the fact that heroic, and I'm going to say it now. If you like, maybe Blizzard does it differently, but I'm going to say that trying to balance classes based off heroic is a huge mistake in general. Heroic is just so volatile because it goes to the cheese level. The first week of the raid, it's cheesed, and then each week it's just worse and worse and worse. I mean, eventually we cheese fights, but heroic, the entire thing is cheese.
There's fights that some guilds kill in a minute and other guilds kill in 4 minutes. You know.
And that's just not a fair comparison, especially if you're comparing it to logs.
Mm-hmm.
Or to sims, rather. Because the sims you don't really do stack rankings for a 1-minute fight.
Everyone knows that the only parses that matter are normal parses. So.
Oh man, I forgot normal was a thing. I would argue you can have better balancing data from LFR parses than heroic parses.
Yeah, I guess your AFK damage is kind of...
But after that thread was made and upvoted a lot for some reason, I don't know why. But that's what happened. Someone made their own thread in a competitive WoW in that subreddit instead. And they were going over DPS class performance, and they were going down the 90th percentile of Mythic. So not heroic this time, they're using Mythic. And for some reason, they decided to try to classify all the specs into tiers, like S tier, A tier, and all that, based purely off the DPS meters.
Mm-hmm. That checks out.
Which
So wait, you're telling me that survival is S tier? That's the only thing I could take from this.
That checks out.
Well, it starts with an S, so of course it's S tier. And again, like DPS is not the only factor in raids again. If a DPS was the only factor in a raid, people would stack the raid with every class that does the most DPS. I mean,
I know that's
at a higher level, there will be class stacking to an extent, like in the World First Race, they will stack a certain amount of classes. But as you can see, there's still a variety of classes used. They're not stacking a single class like Stars did for the World First Yogg Zero Light Kill. That was all Warlocks and Shadow Priests.
Are we supposed to be looking at something that's not the raid bots? Because that's not what it's showing.
No, I don't have a window for this.
Okay.
I don't want to actually like go directly to the threads and crap on people. So,
well, like, can you remember the Spine of Deathwing encounter where it was like 17 rogues and mages?
Yeah.
And a disc priest.
And Prout Warrior number 1 DPS. Yeah, so again, like when you can't really just look at a chart and decide this is how good the class is. It doesn't work that way. There's also other factors to take into consideration. It's like look at the number of parses available for each. I guess I can go to Warcraft log for this to show. One moment.
This always made me really mad. It's like, look at how low red, but it's like, okay, also like, look at how many parses there are. So it's not like people aren't bringing red paladins.
We'll leave it
people
on
are still bringing red.
So here's the 75th percentile over the last 2 weeks of Mythic. And what you'll see here, there's a parses option where you can sort this by clicking on it. So the most available parses currently is for a Demon Hunter Havoc, or Havoc Demon Hunter. And you can see how popular something is. Like, as you see at the very bottom there, we got Subrogues with less than 1,000 parses. But at the same time, we have Assassination Rogue with 40,000 parses. But even again, you shouldn't just use this alone. This is not the only metric to determine if a class is good.
Yeah. And, like, Rhett's pretty up there, right? It's not flavor of the month, obviously, but...
Well, we can't be flavor of the month. We can be flavor of the day or flavor of the week is our lifespan.
Uh-huh. It's true.
The rule of thumb is if Rhett seems good all of a sudden for some reason, based off patch notes, and that lasts longer than 1 week, it's intentional. But if it seems strong and less than a week has gone by, expect you could be nerfed.
A wise man once said, "To the ground, baby."
Whose parents may or may not have been killed by a Ret Paladin.
Be careful of long walks on the beach.
Yeah, so again, just use some available information to you. If you want to look at this, there's nothing wrong with looking at it. But don't like make it an end-all be-all scenario. You can change around percentiles. Like what happens at the 50th percentile, so dead middle. It changes. Or only a little bit, but it changes. If you go higher, it'll change. If you go to 99, it changes up a bit. And also you can go between each boss of all bosses. You can see the ridiculous nature of some classes on short fights like Champions, where they just burst it down in 1 minute and they stack everything.
Yeah.
Like, if you tried to balance a class based off like a single piece of information like this, it would end up horrible.
Everybody has to have like a good amount of fights that they're good at and a good amount of fights that they're just average at, right? And since there is such a big variance, it's
because no king reigns forever.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there we go. We have toppled the demo warlock with Unholy DKs and Opulence. Yeah, but honestly, Opulence is a meme, so. But yeah, that information's there. You can make use of it.
But this is a good example. Like, look how high Unholy is, and then look at how many actual parses.
Yeah, there's 899.
Yeah.
And for Warlock, there's 4,631.
Should switch that over to like boss DPS just for the meme.
Yeah, but Unholy still gets the scaling because it's each target hits every, so it's probably not terrible.
Enhancement Shaman repping. Because they have to spec in for the AoE, so they just spec single target.
Poor BM. Have they fixed the issues with their pets yet?
They just did, like this week, I think, so.
Oh, so the 2-week rolling hasn't caught.
So BM it'll jump up eventually, because before the Opal gem and the other gems weren't applying to their pets. Because Blizzard's evil.
I don't know. I wouldn't say they're evil. They're probably just dumb.
Yeah, it was an oversight. Or is an oversight, though, because you think the same thing would have affected Demonology Warlocks, because they also have a lot of pet things, but...
Yeah, but the big thing with Demo right now is that you sack all of it.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, when 8.1.5 comes out, though, and on the 12th or 13th, depending where you are, demo is going to drop a bit. It's going to be middle pack, so they're not ruling forever.
No, it's only going to be destruction now.
Yeah, so I guess another thing we'll mention is that on the 12th, if you haven't heard, so the 12th of March for US or 13th of March for EU is when we get patch 8.1.5. And with patch 8.1.5, everyone can now race change their paladin to a Zandalari Troll.
I'm probably gonna stay as Blood Elf.
Well,
Me too.
If you don't race
Because
change,
they're
you're doing it
prettier.
wrong, first of all.
No, they're prettier.
You gotta look good, makes you feel good, makes you play good.
Yeah.
And the hot topic right now is, which Loa do I take? And the answer is just hold on a little bit. We'll have the information on the races here on which Loa is best before the 12th.
There's stuff that we don't bother mathing out because it's just going to get changed a million times.
Yeah, but
And with racials traditionally being in a certain window, and they seem to be pretty solid with tuning the racials right now, you can expect it's probably going to fall somewhere in the same range as the other races.
Yeah.
Unless they've screwed something crazy up.
Yeah. Yeah, but it is marked that the client is a released candidate now, so they probably won't touch the numbers anymore because they've already touched them. And we'll see where it lies. But again, if you're basing your race purely off DPS, it doesn't matter because the differences are just so minor overall.
There's a million other things you should be worrying about before what race you are.
Alright, but now we will move into our WoW Analyzer segment for our log review. And if any of you have seen the tweet, is that we're going to be showing off the new version of WoW Analyzer called WoW Analyzer Next. So here we are. This is the new version of WoW Analyzer. So we're already on the page here. But I guess, do I have my screen showing still? I do. Okay. Let me link everyone. If you want to see this for yourself, you can see it now. You just have to go to next.wowanalyzer.com. And we'll
pretty
is it still considered like early access beta buggy kind of stuff?
This is still a little bit early access. Their current plan is the end of next week to hopefully have it live, but we'll see. But either way, the WoW Analyzer Next is coming upon us very soon. So we're going to do our log review today using the new one to give you a bit of a first look on how it's going to work. Because I know there's going to be loads of questions about how to use it. And also to mention, I know I just did a log review video. I will do another one here soon with the new WoW Analyzer, so don't worry. But we'll also talk about it here today. So this is the new homepage. It has some information there. Just news and whatnot. The little spec overview it tells you. If you want to be premium and I'm using the local version right now. So 1 second. Let me swap to the not local one.
Error.
So if you want to be a patron, be premium, you can do that. It gives you things. There's more about it here. There's the help wanted if you want to contribute. You can learn how to contribute there. Some things are pretty easy to contribute. Like, for example, I have 0 programming skills, but I was able to look at a few things and implement a few small updates for RET, which we'll go over here. Your recently viewed logs will show up in the top right there. You can still just paste in your report there. If you want to use the search, there's the search there. If you want to search for an individual character, you can choose the region, the realm, and the character. But we'll just go to our report for our winner. So this is what you see when you first land on it. This is the new overview page. It starts with the checklist up top here. And as a comparison, I have the old one here. So again, like, this is what it looks like live. And here's what it's changing to. So a little bit different.
It's kind of disorienting at first, but...
Yeah, it's disorienting at first. And it might be a little bit aggravating at first, but from my experience, this is an improvement over the old one.
Yeah.
It took me a minute to use it and get used to it to come to that. I was kind of against it at first, but this is an improvement in my opinion. And we'll go over some of the things here in a bit in the log that make it better. So the checklist, the information there is still the same, like always be casting for downtime. Using core abilities, use cooldowns. But we'll talk about these individually as we get into them. we'll go directly into the log first. So the first thing we do in the log, as I mentioned before, we usually sim their character and show what's going on, but we already covered simming a bit, so we're not going to go into that now. So one of the first things that we go over is the opener, and the way to do that is to go to the timeline. So the timeline is a lot different now. So this is the new timeline. Here's the old timeline. And at first you might be a little bit confused. So it's broken into lanes now. Each ability or thing you use has its own lane, like potion, blade, trinket, wings, wake, blah 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 blah. It has each of its own lanes. But your main ability row of what you're using is on this line here. All your abilities that are on the GCD appear in this line. If you use an ability that's not on the global cooldown, you can see it gets inserted below, like the trinket was used here, or a potion for pre-potion was used. And if it's an ability that gives you a buff, certain buffs have a feature that gives them a duration display. Like here's Inquisition was gained, or wings. Here's wings. So for the opener, we can tell because they didn't use Judgment. It was used pre-pull. So they would have pre-pulled Judge. They did Blade. Then they did their Inquisition. And then they went Trinket Wings. So a little bit of a snafu there. You would want to delay that Trinket for your first ability in Crusade. Or not Crusade in this case, I'm sorry. They were using Inquisition, so you would have delayed it for your first ability in Avenging Wrath. So it would have been Avenging Wrath, and then Trinket with Wake would have been the way to go.
It looks like they might have it like macroed because the next time they do it, they have them together. And if you hit the macro in the middle of that GCD like that, it's just going to hit.
Yeah, because again, Trinkets are off the GCD and Wings is on the GCD.
So if you can avoid it.
Yeah, if you're going to macro them, you should use a cast sequence macro, which we've talked about before. If you want an example, I have one in my guide.
End of the day, it does fall into the like you probably have bigger problems category.
Yeah.
So it's a bit nitpicky.
Yeah. So this is Rastakhan here for the fight. So they are using Divine Storm because at the start it is AoE. And what's new here, what I put in the timeline, I put a display for Empyrean Power. So we know when there's an Empyrean Power proc, which I find is quite helpful for determining. Like on this fight, they're already using Divine Storm because it's AoE. But on a single target fight, when someone does use a Divine Storm, we can tell right away if they used it because AoE or because there was a proc to make use of it. And for for Divine Purpose will do the same thing. This isn't a Divine Purpose log though, so it isn't here. But if you use Divine Purpose, it'll show up the same way, where the buff will show up above the timeline. Right, but one of the things that this timeline makes a lot easier to tell is to find out where downtime is happening. Where if we go to the old timeline here, you have to jump in between the lanes to see what's going on. It's a little bit disjointed at first.
You can kind of see up at the GCD, but it's not as...
Yeah. And in the GCD, it'll show you a little bit there, but it's a little bit more clear in a single lane here where there's downtime gaps.
Mm-hmm.
Like see, there's the gray spot there. All the gray spaces between the yellow, that's where there was a delay in abilities, either because abilities are on cooldown, or because the reaction time wasn't as fast as it could have been, or some other various reasons. So we'll scroll along here. We can see some larger gaps here.
And in some places you can see that it's like actual fight downtime. So like there's the horse there. And so you know they're probably not in range of the boss. They're probably trying to deal with a mechanic or something. So it makes sense. It's all good there.
We'll get more into that though. So that was our opener. And usually with the opener, we also look into their further cooldown usage, which again we have the cooldowns tab here for, or the timeline, but we'll go to cooldowns tab. So this is the cooldowns tab now. This is the cooldowns tab. It's pretty much the same. You press more, it shows more. You press more, you get more info. One thing we can tell at the top there, that fight was 7.5 minutes nearly, and they only used the wings twice. And because they only used the wings twice, they only used their trinket twice, so there's a lot of damage lost purely just from not making optimal use of their cooldowns. And as well, another thing here, as we can see in their second wings, they didn't do nearly as much damage as their first set. Obviously, that's a bit different because if they didn't get a potion in, or if there was lust or no lust. But in this case, by the number of skills they used, and looking at the times between them, there was a large gap of time there where they were not on the boss. And also another thing here is that we can see they used Inquisition inside of Wings, which you don't want to do. When you go into your Avenging Wrath, you want to make sure your Inquisition will last longer than the duration of Wings. And if we want more info, we know it's at 5:30. We'll go to the timeline. We'll scroll over. So here's where they use their wings. One thing I want to point out here, though, is I'm going to go a little bit to the left. Or where was it? Or was it later?
It was almost at the end, trying to bring up Inquisition.
No, not that.
No.
What?
What were you looking for?
Hold on. Here it is. Bloodlust was used. I just missed it earlier. So when Bloodlust is used, it also will show up on the timeline here. So you can see what period of time that Bloodlust was active from the timeline, which is also quite nice. Yeah, so you can tell that was quite a bit before the wings were used, so the wings were not used inside of Bloodlust. Yeah, so again, you can tell they're macroed together. They both got used at the same time. And we can see again, the empty space there, we can see there's some downtime there. We can
Marco?
I think we lost him.
Oh no.
Oh, and that means, I don't know. Is it going to be? Is it just his mic? Maybe.
I don't know. Yeah, I think he's still going though. So
I see his thing lighting up on the stream.
Yeah. Yeah, Discord is killed.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, we can hear you.
What was the last thing I said?
Something Bloodlust is here.
Their trinket and their wing.
Oh yeah, so we showed Bloodlust. That Bloodlust happened earlier. Their wings was not up for Bloodlust. We mentioned that we can tell that their wings and trinket are macroed together.
Mm-hmm.
And what's also showing is that we can see the gaps in the rotation more clearly here. There is downtime between their Judgment and their Divine Storm. So they had the Holy Power, but there was a delay there. And even without the Holy Power, we can see from their abilities that Blade was on cooldown, so they couldn't use that. Hammer was on cooldown, they couldn't use that. Judgment was on cooldown, so they couldn't use that. But Crusader Strike did have a charge available here. That little white line indicates when there's a charge of Crusader Strike. So there was definitely open room to use an ability, just for whatever reason it was delayed. We can see here they got an Imperium Power proc. You can see here where there's that large gap of time where they weren't doing anything in their wings, and also where they used Inquisition in their wings. So one thing that's not yet in the next version, that's in the old version here, that we'll scroll over to, And just as a sanity check, can you guys hear me still?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll scroll over here.
Do we need to do like every 15-second check-ins and be like, "Yo, Skelly"?
So we can see here on the old version of Analyzer, it's highlighted Inquisition. You can see you refreshed Inquisition during Avenging Wrath. It is better to refresh early before Avenging Wrath, so you can spend Holy Power on damage during it. So this feature didn't quite make it to the next yet. So that's a work in progress there. But we know that we don't want to use that during wings. And we can see here this is where Avenging Wrath ends right here with that last little hammer of Wrath. So they lost a lot of their benefit from their wings, and they lost 2 entire cast of wings, which led to their damage overall being quite low.
We want to talk about
Yeah,
all of the other things that happen.
I need to go to the document. Unless you want to talk about it, and I'll go to it.
I mean, yeah, I can. So, like, the suit had a pretty rough time, to no fault of his own. Like, during its wings here, when we were talking about, there's this big gap, right? What looked like happened was they came out of the 3rd phase. There's still trying to kill the ad. The boss is over in the middle of nowhere. And this poor guy is just like, all right, this ad needs to die. I'm gonna pop my wings. Ad dies in the middle of his wings, and then he has to like run across the room. And then everybody gets fire, so he just kind of has to stand there and wait for the fire to stop. And it's not a good time. So yeah, that's not the only time this happens either. There's another time where there's some downtime, around like 3 minutes, and one of their tanks dies, and he tries to taunt the boss, so it's not standing on top of Bomb-Samdi. Fails at that, and then the tank gets rezzed and runs fire into melee, and he's like running out. So he's got a lot of downtime. Overall, it looks like maybe his group is not super good at this fight, and he's just trying to like carry more weight than he can hold, basically. So we talked earlier, he only got 2 casts of wings in, and he should have gotten 4, right?
Yeah.
Seems like maybe he was just like, again, trying to carry more weight than he needs to be concerned about, and got like frazzled, right? So, like, there's only so much you can do with your group. Obviously, like, he was trying to save the day when the tank, that didn't quite work out. So, like, a good thing when you're looking at logs like this is to pair the replay like we're doing now. And so if you see anything suspicious, just go to that time during the replay and just see what that person was doing. Because, yeah, sometimes you can't help how good or bad your group is.
And like, it's not just for downtime and stuff too, right? Anytime you see like, oh, he's just not hitting, well, maybe something else is going on.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody got ice blocked on Jaina, or anything like in Bomb-Samdi is a good example, because there's a lot of times when you're not necessarily going to get max uptime. Like sometimes you just accidentally pop something right before inevitable end happens. I know I popped the potion right as that's about to come out.
Yep. Or just like, why are you taunting right now? And then it's like, oh, tank died and you're trying to keep the boss from ping-ponging everyone. Which, certainly, you have to do stuff like that sometimes.
Yep.
Did we lose? Okay.
I'm here.
Life alert. Still here.
Yeah, we need to give you a button. Yeah, that's really like what we noticed for like his downtime. Most of it was good reason, but sometimes it's just like, you can't be the one to take one for the team every time.
Yep.
Also, if you're going to taunt something from range and you really want it to come to you, taunt it and then throw a judgment at it, for God's sake. Bar's not going to come to you.
Yeah, so other things that we look for from the timeline view are the general rotation, how they're using their abilities, if they're prioritizing them right. Like, common thing we look for to make sure they're prioritizing their blade over their judgment. Which for the most part they do that. They do prioritize their blade over their judgment. Which again you just look over. You see when they used it. So they used judgment there. We can see here the blade was on cooldown still, so that was appropriate. And you go through like that, and you look through the timeline just to make sure it lines up the way it should. We're not going to go over the entire timeline there because this person overall did pretty well in general.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a couple instances here like this. Here's a case where judgment did get prioritized over blade when it was available. And the reason we do that, as you can see, blade is a 10.5 second cooldown. Judgment is a 12 second cooldown. And if you talk in terms of global cooldowns, a 12 second is 7 GCDs, and a 10.5 second is 6. So if you use this spell, and your next global you use a blade, they will both come off cooldown at the same time, which causes a cooldown clash, which we can see here. We can see that blade came off cooldown, and judgment came off cooldown at the same time.
Which, for, like, you can control it only to a degree.
Yeah, there's times it'll happen because there is Art of War, which has a chance to reset the cooldown of Blade of Justice. So sometimes they might get synced up that way. But it's just something you want to try to actively avoid causing yourself when you can.
Yeah, you should be prioritizing blade anyway. It's better.
Yeah, so let's go back to the overview page here. So some other suggestions that pop up, again, because there was a lot of downtime there, which we went over. That downtime also led to some spells not being used as much as they could be, such as Crusader Strike or Judgment was a little bit low. Obviously, use your cooldowns. We can see that Avenging Wrath is only used about half the time. Also, you can expand these other ones too, like use your procs and buffs efficiently. I was just looking at stream chat there. I'm still alive.
Mm-hmm.
It'll show your efficiency on things like Righteous Verdict. This isn't the only place to see it. We'll go to the other tab in a moment. Use your Holy Power efficiency. Make sure you're not wasting it. Be well prepared, using your potion and second potion. Sometimes you find you can't use 2 potions because you have a boomkin or hunter in your group, and they pull on 1 instead of 0.
It just got cold in here. That was shady.
And if you scroll down, there's a little suggestions tab here, some default suggestions like try to cast wings more often. Major, because they only had half of the possible cast. Use Crusader Strike more often. Use Judgment more often. Use your Trinket more often. Like it mentions, downtime can be improved. Some basics there, like Righteous Verdict here. There's a note. Like your usage of Righteous Verdict can be improved. Do not cast Templar's Verdict early to try to keep the buff active. Maintaining a proper rotation will passively lead to good Righteous Verdict efficiency. Consider using another talent if the fight mechanics are preventing you from getting high enough efficiency. So fight mechanics like this fight, where you see they had to run out quite a bit and they got stuck in nowhere, a talent like Zeal might have been better. Also on Rastakhan, because there's that period of AoE on Heroic, anytime that you're using Divine Storm, that's time where that buff isn't being kept active. So if a fight is heavier on AoE, you might want to be using Zeal anyways. But we'll get more into that. There's also a note here about consuming all of your Judgment debuffs. Like, ensure your target will live long enough to consume the debuff when possible. Sometimes if the target is super high priority, you'll have to throw your Judgment and it might die before you use it. But if you can prevent it, use your Judgment on a different target that will live. So when you go back to that target, you can consume that debuff when possible. So back to the old analyzer here. It has these statistics here, and these still exist under the statistics here. Also with a few new additions. You can see here it shows the damage per second, healing per second, and damage taken per second. So as a DPS class, the main thing we care about is the damage per second here. And it also shows you the little timeline there from Warcraft logs. And if you click on this link, this will bring you to Warcraft logs, by the way. Like this. So that's one way to access it. We can see there, you can tell it didn't use his wings just from this graph alone, because there's that one spike, there's that second little spike there, but there's definitely a lack of damage spike from the cooldowns. And you'll also see that it shows 68%. So one of the new things here is it says, your DPS compared to the DPS of a top 100 player. To become a top 100 Retribution Paladin on this fight, you need to do at least 25,421 DPS. Now that's just some general information. That's not something to beat yourself up over. It's just letting you know what it takes for that category.
Yeah, I would say for this dude, trying to parse would not be conducive to killing this fight. Not with the group that he's with.
Yeah, so our Holy Power Wasted is here. We had 6 wasted. Again, little tooltips are now in the little eye, our little information block here. So 2.17% wasted. For Inquisition damage buffed, that's here. So 99.18. Judgments consumed. Shows you how many were Divine Storms, how many are Templar's Verdicts. The amount of Shield of Vengeance absorbed that was used. The amount of damage contributed by the rep buff. Here's Righteous Verdict here again. We're going to see the buff cast was 73.85%, and the total damage was 2.67. 2.67% is extremely low for Righteous Verdict, so this is a fight where Zeal would have been a bit better for them. Again, it still shows our downtime here. Shows the Art of War procs. Shows distance moved. For your items like Azurite traits and trinkets, it shows like the uptime and the average benefit here. One we mentioned earlier was Treacherous Covenant, where we mentioned that usually people have a 95% or higher uptime. In this case, they had a 95% uptime. The average amount of strength they gained from that. And it also shows the debuff uptime. Like when you drop below 20% health, you take additional damage. So it'll show how long that was active. And it will show how much extra damage you took during it as well, which is pretty useful. And also for Light's Decree, they had a 10-second increase where it could have been 20, but they missed out on 2 wings and how much of the DPS it was. On the old analyzer, one of the tabs here was abilities and Holy Power usage. These are now on the same page on the new analyzer. So if you scroll down from stats, there's details where it shows Holy Power usage and the abilities. So we can see here there was 1 Holy Power wasted from Blade. On Blade, Crusader Strike, Judgment, and Hammer, there should always be 0 waste. So what happened here is they used a Blade of Justice at 4 Holy Power, when they should have used a Spender first. Or possibly used Judgment or Hammer Wrath, depending. So you want to make sure you're not wasting there. We also had 5 wasted from Wake of Ashes. And to get more information on that, we'll go to the log itself, which we have open already. We'll go to Analyze. We'll go to Resources. We should probably change our target to our person. We will change from hit points to Holy Power. You can see there's the 5, there's the 1. We'll go to Events. And we'll find out where the waste happened. So there was 1 waste here. 1 here. 1 there. 1 there. And 1 there. So they were all waste of 1, which can be okay. You never want to waste more than 1 holy power. If you waste 2 or more, you need to be using different abilities first. Either generate more holy power, or if you have to wait for a builder, you will wait a moment for that builder to come back. You will build, then you will spend, and then you will wake. And when you do run into scenarios where you use 1 holy power as a waste here, that should only happen when Blade is on cooldown. If we look at the timestamp here, they just used Blade, so we know Blade was on cooldown there. But as mentioned earlier, there's the timeline. We can also use the timeline to figure out what happened. So we can go back to it. We'll use a different one here, like here at 4:52. Scroll over. You can see here they used it. We can see Blade's on cooldown, so that's fine. This is a little bit nitpicky. I'm just showing you an example of how you can do it for yourself. So this one was here is at 1:37. See here they used wake. Blade's on cooldown. That's okay. And that's how you do that, just to double check. We'll go back to that stats page though. Mic check.
You're good.
Yep, we're still.
Yeah, so the second tab here is the abilities tab, which again, it shows you your potential cast. Again, for Hammer Wrath, you kind of have to ignore this because Hammer Wrath is a special spell. It's only available in certain scenarios, which are when Wings is active, or when the target is at less than 20% health.
Yeah, and the analyzer can't tell the difference.
And that's why it doesn't mark it as being a red flag by having so little.
Mm-hmm.
It is still possible, though, that you're not using Hammer Wrath enough, which you break down by looking at your wings and seeing how often it's getting used. So again, it just shows all the abilities here. Same as before. Nothing too major there. So cooldowns from a quick glance, you can see how many hammers they got. So they had 1, 2, 3, 4. The second one they had 1, 2, 3. So definitely a little bit on the low side for number of hammers. The character tab is still here. Let's go to the old one first, where it shows the gear and their Azerite powers, their talents, and their stats on pool. That's still here, just a little bit different format. It now kind of matches the armory, where it shows the items, their item level. They got the tooltips here, they got the enchants. If there's gems, it shows the gems. It shows their talents they used. It shows their Azerite powers and what slot they were in. Sometimes you'll see that the icons won't load, but if you mouse over them, you can see what it is. So we had Blood Siphon, Earthlink, Azerite Empowered. So if one icon is missing, just mouse over it to check what it is. If you scroll down, it'll show you the most common setups. Like most used Azerite traits are most used trinkets, the most used talents. If you want to look at a similar log, it'll show similar kill times, but that's more advanced usage. I'm gonna say right now, for the most part, you shouldn't be looking at other logs to improve your own performance. The issues with your own performance, majority of the time, are things that you have to identify by going over your own logs. Once you've reached a certain point where you play very well, you know you play very well, you go over your logs and you're playing very well, and you feel that you're not hitting what you should still, that's when you can start kind of venturing into other logs and seeing something different happens. What you might find is they use a different strat. Their strat they use might be better for their parse. Or maybe you find out they're holding cooldowns for certain parts of a fight. But that's on the advanced side. For now, you want to focus on yourself, on what you can do.
You might also see that they got more crits during Crusaders.
Yeah, it is good.
It's not like, oh, I did something wrong, more or less Crusade or crits or whatever. But sometimes you're like, I don't understand why this person did more damage than me. RNG does sometimes create some pretty big swings. It's not a normal thing, but it can be not insignificant.
Yeah, I mean, or their group might just be better at doing something that your group isn't. So, like, if your group sucks at killing an ad and you have to use your wings at a bad time, like you're gonna parse, doesn't mean that you're doing a bad job. Right? So there are reasons to look at other logs, mostly to just make yourself feel better after you fixed all you could. Again, end of the day, it's about killing the boss, right?
Yep. And on one little page here, you see there's our statistics. This is like what we mentioned before. This is now built into the character tab on the new analyzer. It's all one page. And statistics now is the default page you see. So this information here. And also the abilities and holy power usage. There's also the little about section here. I've updated this on the new analyzer. It also has its own little tab here. So it has the same general information. The things that it mainly mentions is that the best general advice is to ensure you're keeping your abilities on cooldown and not wasting holy power. We have a link to our Hammer of Wrath Paladin Discord there. It mentions that the Ret FAQ channel has useful guides and that the Ret General channel has memes. Very
honestly,
important.
like, yes. Like, I kind of feel bad sometimes people will come and like ask a legitimate question in general channel instead of like the questions channel. And general is just like talking about like conspiracy theories or something. You come in the middle of the day.
Yo, some of those are great. I can't.
No, it's great, but like, you know, you're gonna get answered probably quick in the questions channel.
Yeah, I mean, if you go
And
into
it's
the
like
chat,
the visibility
you'll,
as well, right? If people are scrolling chat really quickly,
Uh-huh.
like just dropping it in the questions chat, like people are going to see it even if you don't get an answer
Yeah.
right away. Like there's just a lot of ways that you'll get better visibility there.
yeah. So if you go to type in the Ret channel and you check what channel you're in first, like you look at the chat, if people are talking about intergalactic pedophiles, you're probably in the wrong channel.
Yeah.
Or anime, that comes up.
I
a lot.
wish this was like an exaggeration at all, but it's not. I feel like those are not even the weirdest topics. Just don't come in at like 4 a.m. Eastern.
I mean, I feel like I miss out on the great 4 a.m. talk.
Yeah, also mentioned here, we have a link to our guides from the FAQ that are listed here. And it also mentions that these guides also feature encounter-specific tips to help you improve. Look for them in the navigation bars panels. Just a little bit more info there in the About section. Also, there's that View Events option if you want to view the events. This is generally for 99.99999% of people, this has no use. But if you want to make use of this, you can. But in
I
general,
didn't even know that.
you can just ignore it.
It's just like that other whatever it's called.
Also, there's
Oh
a
my
little
god,
change
White
log here.
Fest. That's what it's called.
So by default, it does show shared changes, like things that affect all the analyzer, like modules getting added, like Treacherous Covenant. But if you want to view Ret only, you can look at it here. I didn't update the change log when I updated some of the things, so I wasn't really sure what to put there, but it's updated for 8.1. You can see here it is updated for 8.1. And honestly, we'll have more improvements and stuff come to the analyzer as well.
Yay.
What did we not cover about this?
I mean,
You were pretty thorough.
yeah. Did we miss any questions? Probably not, huh?
No, we don't. I don't see any
Pretty chill
questions in the stream. If people do have questions about WoW Analyzer, our logs, or the new WoW Analyzer in general, if you have questions in chat, definitely throw them up there now. Or if you have things you would like to see in the analyzer, you can mention them here and we can pass it along.
think we're all tired.
Well, I guess
Maybe I'm
It's-
projecting.
yeah. One other small thing we can show is like the fight selection. Like here we're on Rosticon. You can click on that, and you can see the other fights as usual if you want to swap.
I'm so glad this website like took off and is good, at least like for us.
And it's also the player selection. It looks a bit different now, where it shows the character and whatnot. You can see like the makeup. There was 2 tanks, 3 healers, 10 deeps, and 3. I guess is that ranged DPS or what is that? Staff.
It must be right.
Yeah. So I guess.
Yeah, sounds about right. Because they had 3 elemental shots,
Yeah.
which is whew.
So it splits up melee and ranged.
But oh, never mind. It's locked. I know the Raider IO and WoW Progress when they look at like kills for raid comps on stuff, they'll actually take it from the armor. So for us specifically, when we got Stormwall down, it looked like we had 3 tanks,
Yeah.
but we didn't. But this takes it straight from the log, so it's probably.
Yeah, and also just to go over it again, if you want to view the log, because if you close it accidentally, you can click on the little the graphs here to bring it up. But also at the bottom of the page here, if you want to go to the direct link, it's also there. And if you want to use Wipefest, Wipefest is also there. And if you want to scroll up, there's an arrow here. You can click on it.
Whitefest is pretty
Yeah,
good
very
for
mild.
seeing. Whitefest is good for seeing like.
I
when
forgot it
this
did that.
character mechanic.
That should definitely be removed, by the way.
Is that like a website from the 90s where it plays music automatically when it starts up?
I'm pretty sure I just destroyed everyone's ears in the chat.
I don't think it was
this
that
is
bad.
the
At least not
live
for us.
version that I'm using right now. This isn't local, so that is live. Yeah, so please go bug Zero right now for me and tell him what you think of that feature. I'm gonna go find a Divine Purpose log in a moment here, so I can show that. Just because.
Just because.
So here's a randomly selected Divine Purpose log. Go to the timeline. And like I mentioned here, we can see the Divine Purpose procs. They pop up here as well. So Divine Purpose will show up. We got the Bloodlust, or in this case, Time Warp. That shows up, so you can see when it's used. Again, off GCD abilities pop up here. So we can see he used a Jess Howler trinket before his wings. Divine Purpose is there. Imperium Power there. You can see that Imperium Power can definitely proc Divine Purpose. No, I am on the live version of WoW Analyzer right now. It seems to only play the music though if you're at the very bottom of a long page. Like if I'm on a short page, it doesn't do it. But if you go to the bottom of like this page here,
Here we go.
I'm not gonna do it. You can test it yourself. Go to the very bottom, then press it. Like it seems like it depends on how long it's scrolling back up.
Mine didn't do it.
See, now I'm going to test it. It better not do it. No, it didn't do it this time. All right, let's go back to the other log, because now I'm like going crazy. Now it's not doing it. I hate this game.
Wow. Yeah, this game called the internet.
The analyzer game. Like, will it play the sound? Or did I have this expanded, maybe?
Replicating
Yeah, let's
bugs
expand all the
game is
checklists.
the worst.
Show minor importance. No, it didn't do it.
Yeah, I was gonna say I just went to the about page with like the changelog and everything, which is a pretty long page. I didn't do it.
Like, I am 100% on in my URL bar. It's next.wowanalyzer.com. Let's expand some stuff again. Let me turn down my sound.
And post.
I have no idea. It's not doing it now. It did that one time, but now it's not. I don't
Welcome
understand.
to the wonderful world of QA.
Okay, whatever. First, if you hear a sound, you know why. But I guess you shouldn't hear a sound unless you're very unlucky. And your ears will be assaulted by how loud it is. Yeah, so we show the divine purpose log. I guess we can show you what happens when you have a log that's in the top 100. We'll search for a character.
I wonder who he's gonna pick.
Yeah, I don't know.
Do we know anybody who's good at Rent?
I don't actually. If you come to the page and you don't see a log that you just did, press the refresh button to fetch new ones. There isn't going to be any new ones here, but we'll just grab Mechatorque here. And you'll see you'll get your nice little display of being over 100%. So you can feel good about yourself. And this is a good way to demonstrate where you can see the potion was used after combat started because boomkins exist.
It's always the Moon Kid. Occasionally the Warlocks.
Like, here's an example of proper trinket usage, where you can see I used Crusade, and I didn't use my trinket until I had my 10 stacks of Crusade.
Good job.
Sometimes
You did
I
it.
do things right.
That's how I feel.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure most of the time I'm doing things wrong, and then there's that one shining not screwing it up.
Mm-hmm. And then we wipe.
Yeah, we'll show doing it wrong. Did I die in this fight? I think I might have died in this Grong attempt.
How?
Yes.
I have
You
foolproof
died.
Grong for myself.
Major
If I
problem.
die, we have to wipe.
Are you an orb carrier?
Yep.
Oh yeah, so am I.
Yeah, so as you can see, dying on a fight is a major issue. I was dead for 45 seconds.
Dying is definitely a major issue.
And when you die, you get a new little tab here called Death Recap. So you can see what happened as you died. You can see your heals, what defensive buffs.
Was this a healer problem?
We can see that I don't have Shield of Vengeance. I did technically have Divine Shield, though. I didn't have a Health Stone, because I used it already. But I did technically have a Health Pot, but I don't carry Health Pots, so...
What?
Wow.
What? Oh my
What?
god, you're a shitlord.
Are you a shit? Are you a rubbish raider?
It's so
too,
good.
It's too expensive.
No, they're not.
They're the
You
cheap
don't
thing.
use them very much.
Dude, you can even have a macro that uses your healthstone first and then your health.
Oh my god. On my shit server, they're 40 gold each.
40 gold
And
is
you
a lot of gold
use
to me
like
right now.
no, you use less than a stack of.
I don't know. I might go eat yelled at if we have less than like 30 health potions.
My
I
gold,
just put
I'm running on fumes, so.
You can literally make health pots with fumes.
See,
God damn it.
this could have been avoided though if we didn't get 3 tantrums because the orbs were thrown at the right
If
times.
you had used a potion. Damn it. Or lay on hands.
Does it show the overkill? I don't think it doesn't like show the overkill there, I guess.
Anyway, you should have to go to logs, actual logs for that one. Oh, but it does show which ones are available. Right? That's like it's nice to have them actually highlighted like that.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, if you get 3
17,865 overkill.
Someone's gonna die.
That's
Yes,
less than a
if you
health
had
potion.
potions.
Just putting that out. Health potion's like 30k. Oh.
40 gold could have saved you there, buddy.
It doesn't matter.
Mostly making an example of you. Like, I don't know. They exist and they're not hard to have. At least in my guild, I stock the guild bank with potions. So there's no excuse. Did I kill the conversation? Sorry.
No, I think we're all just looking at these at how bad skill.
Oh no, he's going green. We don't hear you.
No, I'm here.
Oh, okay, I saw your microphone light up and we didn't hear anything.
No, I'll try copying and pasting something. Because I have my key on control, so.
Oh, you're one of those people.
That's how it was back in the day. You pressed control to talk.
How back in the... Because mine is the fucking squiggly button and I've been playing this game for 10 years.
We have to go back more than 10 years, so.
I mean, you should use a foot pedal, clearly.
I wish I had a foot pedal.
I have one and it broke, like, instantly.
What? How hard did you smash that
well,
like button?
It's not about that. I'm pretty sure it's, like, a shitty Amazon, like, one from China for $7.
Oh, I'm going to find another log, too, to show off something else. I have to find... Oh, here's one list page. We can thank the Chinese. They always pick weird talents.
Right. I always joke if we're struggling on
Oh,
a
man,
fight,
which
that
one
I'm
was
gonna
it?
go find a China.
We're going to guess. Oh, we guessed right. So this person has fire as a justice.
Hell yeah. More proof nothing matters.
No, yeah. Everything's made up.
Yep.
And the points don't matter.
Uh-huh.
Wait, did they get 0 procs, or did I not add it to the timeline?
Oh, there's one. There's a divine.
Wait, am I blind?
It's the icon for divine purpose is different.
I was looking for the fire as a justice, not...
Oh, fires are my bad. Yeah, I didn't see that.
Oops.
Well, I got so many things open now. Well, they had 3 of them. I guess I did not add it to the timeline. I thought I did, so I will go back and check that then. but the plan was to also have a Fireside Justice procs show on the timeline, so I will add that later.
And break everything.
I mean, that's how programming just works, right? Everything breaks.
See, we're seeing a common theme here that everyone macros their stuff together and it gets used off sync and incorrectly. It's a rampant problem.
Well, when nothing matters. Because, like, no, I shouldn't excuse bad habits.
I mean, the other thing is I know a lot of the Asian places or Asian guilds and RET specifically like to use something that's a little more and get the big RNG luck parse.
Mhm.
That's something we've just
Yeah,
seen
they
a
love
lot
to
that
run
happen.
fires and DP.
And a lot of crit heavy builds too.
Well, I'm not seeing any questions in chat, and I
Yeah.
think we covered the topics we want to cover, unless there's something else someone could think of.
It's been 2 hours too, so
Yeah. We've already made fun of me for not using health potions.
yeah. True.
We showed the true strength of the 335 first mate spyglass.
For real, I'm still fucking amazed.
Oh, I guess something that we should mention here is that if there's one fight that you probably shouldn't use WoW Analyzer on, it's on Jadefire Masters. Is there a Jadefire kill in here?
Oh.
Oh, is there a specific bug, or is it just because the fight has you running everywhere all?
No, it's when people get teleported, or if they're doing the little the mini game, it messes up the log severely. It's
Hmm.
It's a Blizzard thing, not a WoW Analyzer thing. I will bring up a log here just to show.
Cat wants to know why Prod General is better than Red General. I would say it's not.
Yeah, definitely not. I mean, they don't even talk about the interdimensional.
Space vampires.
Or
As you can see,
the elfish alien.
like this person's just getting blasted for things like uptime and whatnot, which I'm not sure. This could be proper in this log, but things tend to get not reported properly on this fight. For the DPS will be fine, but other things
It's like
get
a
a
log
bit
issue.
tricky.
Right.
Yeah, you can see this was a log because you can see on his trinket, it said he had 139.59% uptime. That's because this fight it doesn't log stuff right.
Okay, you weren't kidding, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
so Jadefire Masters is a horrible fight to try to analyze.
It's probably just hard to get an accurate log of that.
Imagine if your light degree added 4 minutes and 50 seconds of total duration.
Wait, what? What is going on? I can't even understand what's happening in the log. Like,
Yeah, so just for now, stick to non-Jade firefights for analyzing. All right, but I think that's definitely it. Though I don't have anything else to go over.
Yeah.
All right, so thank you everyone for being here. I'll have the VOD uploaded to YouTube here later today. Maybe. Sometimes I get lazy and don't do it, but I'll try to upload it to YouTube. It'll definitely be there before it expires on Twitch. And the YouTube link is in the description below. I have no idea what's going on with Prot and Holy, so I really can't tell you when there will be a Prot or a Holy stream.
Ooh, if you guys have suggestions for like other stuff we should do, you know, outside of what we normally
Yeah.
do.
So normally our next Ret stream would be on the 23rd of March, but because we don't have any streams for Prot or Holy, we might try to do something in between here. So we'll see how that goes, but again, if you have suggestions like that, definitely let us know as well. Like in the description there's like a have it under contribute section. There's a link to fill out your suggestion on that form. You can use that form to fill it out, or you can message one of us in Discord. That works too.
Petition to get Wally to come out of the shadows again.
Yeah, he only comes out once a year, so we might have to wait until next year.
Scared boy.
Everyone go to Prot General in Discord and ping Alliance Prot.
Yeah, go at Wooly. Why aren't you on the stream?
But that's our stream for now. Hope you enjoyed. Again, go ping Wally and have a great day.